going on, everybody? Chris Beard here. Welcome to day 41 of the 365 days to understand motivation. And today we're going to be talking about ambition and then caution. Now, I'm going to paint a picture for you here because this has been something that's kind of been going through my mind all of today. And mainly because I was listening to a talk with Tony Robbins. I was on YouTube listening to this talk. I think it was about a 2-hour long talk, but I was doing something at the time and I was listening to this in the background, and there were definitely some times I stopped and I was completely focused on what he was talking about. But it was always talking about how the main talk was it was about couples and all this other stuff, but it touched base on some things about personalities and how sometimes we label our personalities, or sometimes we're just controlled by different personalities. We all have multiple personalities because we all act different ways around certain people, so we have multiple personalities. So that being said, some of us are controlled by our personalities, and sometimes we label our personalities as negative because they cause us to experience things in poor ways. And it's not that you have bad personalities per se, it's that you've labeled them as a bad personality, but they had good intentions. That just the way you worked with that personality, it came across as poor, or it came across as bad, as some people say. Like you had a bad experience because you had a bad attitude or you had a bad personality, when it was really that personality that you adopted at the time had good intentions, but it came across in a negative way. So then you're kind of left confused. And this talk was really interesting, and I'm going to get more back on track to what I was going to talk about, but I just thought I'd share a little bit of background of what the talk was about. It was really cool. I really enjoyed it. But let's get back to what we were going to talk about today. So ambition and caution. So for me, I have these two different personalities in my head, and I never really thought about it until I heard Tony talking about it today. And it was, I really have that ambitious part of my, the ambitious personality in my head, which I'm going to give him a name. I'm going to call him Roy from now on. The really ambitious part of me, that's my ambitious personality, Roy. He's the guy with all the ideas, works really hard, always constantly thinking of new ways to do things, always just working hard. That's the hard-working part of me, the ambitious part of me, the part of me that wants to grow the most. So I'll call him Roy from now on. And then there's the cautious part of me, and for some reason, whenever I thought of this really cautious guy, for some reason the name Guy just stuck with me, so I call him Guy from now on. My cautious part of me, that's all about the balance, having balance and being safe and just being cautious and not always jumping into things right away. So whenever I have the really ambitious part of me, Roy, as I'm going to call him from now on, I kind of viewed him as this scrawny, skinny guy. I don't know why. Probably because I don't always listen to Roy all the time, and I am more cautious. And whenever I thought of my caution guy, he's more of the big muscular guy in my brain. So whenever I thought of these two, they clashed a whole lot, because with Roy, he was this I see him in my head as this scrawny guy who spends more time at a desk, like writing down ideas and thinking of all these things, and he spends so much time thinking, but then there are some times he doesn't get up and act, and that's why he's so skinny, because he just stays at his desk and he doesn't really do anything. Well, there's Guy over here, who he's sitting not too far away from Roy. I mean, this is how I pictured it in my head, so just stay with me here. Guy sits not too far away from Roy, and Roy sits at his desk working. Anytime Roy gets a really good idea, he's like working on it. He doesn't always stand up right away, and that's the problem. Because when he has a good idea, he spends too much time thinking about it, and by the time Roy stands up and he's going to go act on his idea, Guy has already stood up out of his chair, and he's standing there getting ready to just kind of like push Roy back down in his seat, just like, no, we need to think about this idea a little more. We need to give it some more time. You don't need to act on it right now. We just need to think it out more. And for a while of times, I had called that part of my personality that I'm calling Guy now, I just thought it was doubt. And it's not really doubt. It's just caution. And I gave it the name of doubt because I thought it was always negatively impacting me. And it wasn't always negatively impacting me. It was keeping me safe. So instead of just viewing it as doubt now, I gave him a name. I call him Guy. He's my balance guy, and he is my caution guy. He keeps me safe. He keeps that certainty in my life, and I always need that certainty. Everybody needs certainty in their life. So that's the part of my personality that has the certainty. It's Guy. And then there's the more ambitious, hardworking, kind of fun guy, Roy. And he's all about working hard and doing all these awesome things and having these awesome ideas, but he sits too long and thinks. And whenever he gets up and he goes to act on his ideas, there's usually a guy there who's like, listen, we need to wait, we need to think about this more. We're not ready yet. And my whole problem was I was always letting Guy control everything because I was always too cautious. And that would stop me from being super ambitious. So now that I kind of have this whole setup in my head and I've given my personalities names and I've gained more control over them, and I view them differently. I don't just view them as like parts of me that I'm just like, oh, well, that's just part of me. Well, it is part of me, but it's me. Like in my head, I see they're just me's. There's like a bunch of me's in my head. And now that I view them as that, I don't view them anymore as that scrawny guy or that really buff guy. They're just me's with different names. So I view them as that now, and now that I feel like I have more control over them, it's kind of like I'm like, well, I have Roy now, who's really great with ideas, really hardworking, but he spends too long thinking, and then I have Guy over here, who's really cautious, and he's always working on creating that balance so I feel safe. And what if I just kind of sat them both down at the same table, because they always sat separately, and whenever one got up, the other was usually getting up at the same time, and they clashed. The two parts of my personality were always clashing because maybe I was just trying to keep them always too separate, or I just like something in my brain wasn't working out. So now I'm more focusing on having them both sit at the same table, and they're both working on stuff together. And now I'm getting to the point where Roy is going to be, I'm going to use that part of my personality, have those ideas, but then I'm going to use Guy to create that balance and think with caution, but at the same time, they're not going to get in the way of each other anymore, because I'm not looking at Guy anymore and you're like, oh, you're just doubt, or Roy is like my ambitious me. And it's just like these two different parts of me are going to be working together now. So I took two things that were always working against each other, and now I'm going to have them working together. So I've combined ambitious and balance, or caution. I've combined these things together. Now there's still me, there's still two separate parts of my personalities because I shift between being ambitious and being cautious all the time. So I can't say that they're one and the same now because they're just different parts. I know some of this might be really confusing, but for me it was really a breakthrough. Because now I have these two guys working together in my head all the time now. Then I'm just gonna always think that if I'm gonna be super ambitious, I'm gonna work hard, I gotta rely on Roy, and I gotta work on my action-taking muscle as me, as Chris. And I gotta work on taking action when I'm mainly being Roy. And then whenever I take action, I just gotta boom, just go and take action. But also there's gonna be some times when I'm just gonna like, wait, we'll think this out a little bit. We're not too sure about it. We'll think it out a little bit, but we can't think about it too long because then we're really gonna have a problem. So Guy and Roy are going to be working on the same table, and there are going to be times when there's going to be a third seat in there, and I'm going to be right in the middle working between these two guys in my head. Now, you might think I'm totally crazy for thinking these things, or I'm totally out there and I'm just making up total nonsense now, but I found a lot of just kind of release and just kind of greater understanding of myself just because I listened to Tony have this talk, and now I'm evaluating these things in my brain, and now that I'm just taking, oh, that was just things that I do, to now it's something actual in my head. It has physical form. There's Roy and then there's Guy, who is just, they embody the parts of my personality and they're me. And I rely on them to help me out and make decisions more effectively. So now that I've kind of just settled on that idea, I think it's really important that I'm going to be focusing more on Roy, that ambitious part of me, the part of me that wants to really grow. And then I'm going to give equal time to Roy and give equal time to Guy, so that I'm equally giving in to both of those personalities and letting them affect me in the right ways. And now that they don't have any kind of negative kind of titles or outlooks, or I've changed everything, so they're going to be the positive, they're going to be like my part of my crew that helps me get things done. Now things are going to be different. because now I look at things differently and I see them now. They're not just my personality or parts of me that I see in different ways. They are Roy and Guy. And now I'm thinking, ever since I came to this idea that I should give my own parts of my personalities names and I should understand them more to be more in tune with myself and be more aware of how I really am and just understand my personalities more, I feel like I've gained power and control over them more. So it feels great. You want to talk about some self-improvement there? I went through a lot today. And like I said, you might think I'm totally crazy. That's totally okay. I don't really care if people think I'm totally crazy for this. It really helped. Honestly, it really helped me just thinking about these things and having them exposed to me in different ways, different ways that people think always interests me and affects me in different ways. So, I know this is a really long video today, really a lot of talking today, kind of just threw out some really cool ideas. I think they're really cool. And it's very, very, what's the word I'm looking for? I feel very fulfilled, and I feel more in power of my personality and myself, and I understand things better, and I don't look at everything in a negative way now. Like doubt evolved into caution, and now caution has evolved into Guy. That is part of my personality that seeks that certainty and balance, and that's okay. I totally understand that needs to be part of my life. But this video has gone on long enough, and I want to thank you so much for watching. If you stayed until the whole video and you watched it all the way to the end, thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Let me know down in the comments below if you're going to try something like this, if you're going to look at the different personalities that you have within your head, and you're going to start acknowledging them more, trying to understand them a little bit, and just give them titles, give them names, the parts of you that affect you in different ways. It's Roy. That's he's one of my personalities, the hardworking part of me. And then there's Guy, the cautious, balance-seeking, certainty part of me. So let me know down in the comments below if this video has helped you out in any way. If you think differently, hit this video with a like. I'd really appreciate it. And last but not least, if you'd be so kind as to share the video so I can talk to more people. Maybe some people will get something out of this video. If not, everyone will just think that I'm crazy, and I'm totally cool with that. It's whatever. I got something out of the talk with Tony, and I just want to share with you possibly something that could help you, and maybe you could get something out of my talk today. So thank you so much for watching today's video. It's been a really long one, so I appreciate it if you stayed till the very end. Once again, this has been Chris Beard. Peace out. Have a fantastic day.